one of my photos of the Woodside High School faculty and turn it into a card, something along these lines. It needs to be a JPEG first before you bring it into Photoshop. If it's a CR2 file, then it has to open in Camera Raw first, do some quick edits, then resave it as a JPEG, and then bring it into Photoshop. Two different ways to get it to Photoshop. The quickest way, but you might not know what size it is, the quickest way is to take the image, click and drag it, and drop it on the icon for Photoshop there. That is a quick way to open anything into Lightroom, Bridge, or Photoshop. Click and drag that photo or folder onto the icon. And then you can do edits here. If you need to delete parts of the layer, then you need to unlock that layer and you can work on deleting it and things of that sort. I'm going to close this and show another way of opening it. When you have Photoshop open, notice it says up here Photoshop, you can go File, New, and this is when you can open a brand new document, whatever size you want. So I'm going to go ahead and make this like a photo that I want to use as a postcard. So I'm going to go 4x6 photo, so 6 inches wide, 4 inches high. It shows the orientation there. 300 ppi for print purposes, and I will make the background black. You could do white or custom colors or whatever. And now it opens up is referred to as a blank canvas. So now if I take that photo and drag it onto that blank canvas, it puts it on as what's referred to as a smart object, which means I can resize it without it affecting the quality. So if you wanted to shrink it so that it doesn't fill the entire thing, so you have a little bit of border, you can. While it has the X and the dots, that means it's in the editing format. So you need to say, oh, I'm done resizing it. And it's still a smart object. It has this weird little box around it and that symbol there. That means that I can't do a lot of typical stuff to it. So I need to rasterize it before I can do certain things. So it's a smart object. I'm going to rasterize a smart object. Boom, that little weird box in the corner is gone. So now it will function normally. I am going to do some quick little changes here. I'm just going to have the faculty kind of zoomed in on them. So I selected what I wanted. I'm going to inverse the selection, make sure that the photo layer here is selected. So this will allow me to delete all that other stuff. Boom. Deselect. Let me see, let me move it a little bit. So I have a base layer. I happen to use a background color. You could have a photo as a base layer, or you can do it this way. You now need to have some sort of text. Clicking the text tool. Make sure it's a color that's going to show up on black. If you're typing black on black, you won't see it. So I'm going to put white on top here and say, Happy Holidays from Woodside High School. Let me center it, select all, center both of them, and bring it over here and actually center it. It will give me a line there when it's centered with the photo and everything else. Now I have my text layer, my photo layer, and then the extra is the background layer. You don't have to have that, but I like to have a black background. Now I need to use the brush tool. So let me select the brush tool here, and I have some options. If I go to brushes and click over here, I can import new brushes. You needed to download those ABR files that I gave you access to. Hopefully you have done those already. If you haven't, make sure you have done it before the final. So you can go ahead and select some of these. You can select more than one. If you hold down the Command key, you can select more than one. Hit Open, and it just loaded those brushes down here at the bottom, way down here, these ones here. It looks like a weird little swipe. I don't know why it's showing it that way. but you can see what it looks like over here. If I space that out, you can see what's going on. A bunch of different brushes. So in order to get these onto my canvas properly, I'm going to create a brand new blank layer, bring it to the very, very top, and call this snowflakes or brushes. Select the color, I have it white right there, and you can start doing the size of your snowflakes. The reason you want it on a separate layer is you can change things like the opacity. I like to make the brushes look a little bit faint. And this is what you need for your card. You have at least 3 layers. One layer with the custom brushes. It has to be those custom ones you load. Another layer with the text. Those need to be on top of the photo. And then your photo layer here. And if you want to, you can have the extra background layer. Otherwise, you can have, rather than the background, your photo can be the whole canvas. And then you need to save this, File, Save As, in the 3 different ways I talked about. Save one as a Photoshop document. That's going to be your largest file. And then you're going to go up to Image for image size and change some details here. You want it 4x6, 300 for the PSD, Photoshop file. That was done. 4x6, 300 ppi for the print version. So File, Save As. You're going to have to click on Save as a Copy to bring up the JPEG option. So that is the printable version. It's 300 ppi for print purposes. You'd save that one. And then your last one that's for web use, go to before you hit Save As, you go to Image Size, and you have to make sure that only those 2 are locked. It's not locked to all 3 of these. That will mess things up. That's locked to all 3 if that's locked on just those. You want this to be 72 ppi is traditional, but let's do 100. I don't want it to be too small. 100 ppi, hit OK. It's going to shrink it really tiny, but we're not looking at this in full size. We're looking at this at only 50%. So let's go ahead and put it at 100. So that's the file size. So that is a good size for texting it to people, putting it on Snap, IG, Facebook, whatever you want. And then File, social media stuff or web stuff. Save As, make sure you're saving it as a copy, and JPEG, and give it the names that we talked about. And there you go. That's your 3 file sizes and your card with 3 layers, and that's what you have to do for this week.